Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2021 film She Will. It's a Shudder exclusive, and it's coming to Shudder on Thursday, October 13th. So this is a no spoiler review. This is also a Dario Argento Presents film, which I was at first like, wait a minute, did they mix up my She Will and Dark Glasses screener? But they didn't, because I kept watching. I'm like, oh, this is a thing. He's like doing Presents stuff at the moment, so that's cool. And this was a pretty solid-ish film. There are things I really didn't like about it, but there are things I really did like about it, but I'll talk about that with no spoilers. This one's directed by Charlotte Colbert. This is the individual's first feature film, and it's written by Colbert as well as Kitty Percy. Again, it's coming Thursday, October 13th, and quick synopsis on this one. It's about an aging celebrity who goes away for a getaway, expecting to kind of be like isolated and find some good solitude towards, you get the idea it's like towards the end of her life. But I mean, she's certainly like reflecting on kind of her stage in life at that point. But she has her assistant with her who's much younger, which I think there's really something there with their relationship as far as something the film's trying to tell you generationally with women. But she goes away and she finds out she's not actually alone. She just kind of wants to be alone. And then things start to get interesting. She starts to have these kind of weird dreams. Things feel a little bit off, and it goes places. It's very much in nature, so you can assume, well, I think it's safe to assume that there's stuff horror-wise tied to nature. And that's where I'm going to leave that. You'll see what I mean if you actually watch the film. The opening credits are kind of excessively long, to be honest. You know how they'll just be like, in conjunction with blah, 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 a blah, blah, blah production. Like, those things, they just kept popping up and popping up and popping up. And I'm like, what is going on here? So that took a while. I feel like should have just left that to the end, to be honest. Minor thing. It starts with no music, really, which I'm totally down with. Like, a restrained score is a good thing, and this film actually has a pretty restrained score. Yes, there are moments where it really swells, but the music is well composed, and it's not used to death. Like, they don't just beat you over the head with music in those, like, horror, dread-filled moments, so I appreciate that quite a bit. Plus, there is really good use of actual moments of no score, and that really helps to kind of exemplify good sound design. So I like that. There's an interesting shift that goes from closed-in, somewhat claustrophobic framed scenes to more open, tranquil, yet isolating scenes, which I think there's a really important... I think that was intentional. And I think it's kind of important to the story subtextually. But it's cool. It's definitely cool to like start like so kind of like confined and almost claustrophobic, and then things just like open up so much more, and then at the end it actually kind of like goes back to that claustrophobia a bit, and I just kind of like love how that happens. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it felt like it was intentional. The characters seem very stuffy, which also, I mean, I'm sure that is intentional, but if you don't like characters who are like overly stuffy and speak in that manner, then you might not really like these characters. I was fine with it, but just want to throw that out there because I know everyone's got pet peeves. Maybe that's one of them. There are a bunch of moments of montages of cryptic images that make you wonder how they'll end up fitting into the overall story at the end. And they do. They have a lot of significance. I will say, though, on that note of all these kind of montages of these images, there's way too many of them. They kind of beat that to death, in my opinion, and that's one of the big things that kind of really bogs the film down from a pacing standpoint. Because I'll just tell you right now, I don't think the pacing was very good in this film at all. And it definitely feels like it needed to be cut down a bunch, at least 20 minutes. And that's leaving some for them to make it like a longer film. Now, that said, that's just one of my things. I know there are some people watching this right now, and I know who you are, who are saying, oh, he thought it had bad pacing. That's my type of film. I'm on it. And that's great. Like, I always hope that people, think differently than me. And that's why I like to hear from people who have differing opinions on this stuff. And I do all the time. So I love that. everything is very dark, and it kind of has this like baseline blue palette to the film, which is interesting. I think it works to a degree, but I also kind of would have liked to see it be more vibrant color-wise. I understand that it was an intentional choice, and I can make some guesses at why. But I would have liked more color to it, to be honest. About 28 minutes into the film, there's a scene that gave me a strong idea where this film is headed. It's not even just like a hint. It's like pretty strong. You're just like, okay, yeah, I see where we're going here. It's basically a subgenre of film that has had a big resurgence lately, and a new movement in subject matter within horror that's very much of our time, that we've seen a bunch more films coming out addressing. I'm gonna leave it at that. There is some CGI in this, and some of it looks bad. Here's the problem. It's related to fire. It's not a lot. It's just a little bit, but I just have to talk about it. For some reason, it's very hard for people to get fire down from a CGI standpoint, and it has a tendency to look not that good. It's not used a lot, and when it's used, it's relatively quick, but it's something I just noticed, and I'm just like, that doesn't look very good. There are some other moments where there's CGI used, and it looks just fine. A lot of it having to do with the fact that it's kind of darker in a dark setting. That works. They use the song Goodbye Horses by Q Lazarus at one point in the film, and I just had to mention it because it always just makes me think of two films. Silence of the Lambs, obviously, and Clerks 2, those are obviously connected with that song, but it's been a long time since I've heard that song. Clerks 2 was the last time I saw it used in a film, or heard it used in a film, and it was nice to have it in there. I like that. They also have a really cool cover of The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen, which is gorgeous. It's really good, and it's during the end credits, so stick around for the end credits just to hear that song, because it's really good. I mean, The Killing Moon is a good song in the first place, but very good acting in this. All the performances really good, and you'll see Malcolm McDowell in it, and Alice Krieg is the main character, and she does a wonderful job. Everyone does a wonderful job. It's very, very good. Very good acting-wise is what I was saying. About 1 hour and 26 minutes in, there's an amazingly stunning shot. It is beautiful, it is gorgeous, and it's the type of shot I was expecting to see in Dario Argento's Dark Glasses, and saw none of it, not even close. Beautiful. It was like one of those like take your breath away type shots. Very happy with that. If there were even more of those in the film, I would have been like way excited. But visually, directing is well done. Cinematography is well done. It looks good. It looks very good. So there's a lot of really good technical stuff with the film. My biggest issues just mainly have to do with the pacing. The pacing is really bad, in my opinion, and it just feels like they keep retreading the same material over and over and over when you already get it. Like, the impact has already happened. We don't need to just keep, like, redoing it. But I think there also may be a little bit of a point in that, kind of like with Alex Garland's film Men. So, because that one had the same type of situation going on. It's just not something that I'm into. There's a younger character in this film, the person who's the kind of like aide for the main character. I think she was kind of wasted as a character. Like, I see what they were going for in the reason for having her in the film, but I just think she was very underutilized, and I think they could have done a lot more with her character and had her have like a much bigger impact subtextually and from a standpoint of like the straight up story. So it's felt like a wasted opportunity. Yeah. And the ending for me is meh. The ending was an ending. I wasn't like sold on it at that point. Like I said, the pacing's bad, but it looks really good, which can really help with kind of distracting you from that. Also, the camera work is relatively engaging. They're always kind of moving. A lot of smooth, interesting movements, which I like from a visual standpoint. So like I said, a lot of good technical stuff. This deals a lot in aging and feeling the world kind of move on without you. It's not the main theme of it, I don't believe, but maybe it just has to do with my age, as you think more about that stuff after you hit 40 and after. But it really made me think about, how you age and how things go with aging, but also when you look at the world around you and how it's kind of surpassing you in ways. So that is at play here, and I think it comes through in a good way. It deals even more in trauma and righting past wrongs. And you'll see what I'm talking about when you watch it, and you'll see that that's kind of mainly the big message that's going on here. This is another entry in the newest wave of horror material. Like I said, there is a particular message in a lot of horror films well, not a lot. It's increased in volume, but it's a new movement in horror-related material, and you'll see what I mean. I'm sure you've seen other films kind of like this, and this is another entry in that. It's not my favorite. It's not even close to my favorite, but it's pretty decent. I enjoyed it enough. So out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give it 3.5, to be honest. I wanted to give it a 3, but there's so many good technical things. Like, the cast is really good. It looks really good. That stunning, beautiful shot. The music's really well done. Sound design's good. Like, I can't just give it 3 stars. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. And I also think that the pacing issue won't be an issue for some people, or maybe even a lot of people. I don't know. So it's pretty well done, but it just wasn't my thing. But anyway, would love to hear your thoughts on it when you've seen it, or if you've seen it right now, go ahead and put it in the comments. We can talk spoilers in the comments, though, so know that. Do me a favor, hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. It is quick, painless, costs you nothing, and I appreciate it greatly. Also, hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, which I'm doing 4 a week at this point, which I feel like it's a good amount. I put in a good amount of work. But regardless, thanks for taking your time to watch this video, and until next time, keep it brutal.